disparo de calor, la atracción que se genera en un instante. Juegas fácil y no soy tu ganador. Reconozco que me siento un perdedor, que mi cuerpo ya no puede controlarse. Yo vivía en una especie de ficción y la cruda realidad en otra parte. Hubiera jurado que no caería en tus manos. Sé que no debí quedarme a negociar y hacerme vulnerable a tus disparos al aire, pero nunca me gustó quedarme atrás y me declaro culpable de no evitar lo inevitable. Si tus labios me provocan adicción y tu movimiento puede dominarme, tú querías ser mi centro de atención. Yo caía en tu forma de mirarme, hubiera jurado.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Dogs with Ante. We are trying really week after week to bring you top dog people from all around the world.
Mic off.
And I'm very happy that my first ever guest from Ireland is going to be the president of their kennel club, Mr. Sean Delmar. Good evening, Sean. How are you?
I'm very well, I suppose, as well as we can be. But yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Anyhow, we have been trying to fix in the last half an hour a little bit the sound things. I know that you hear Sean perfectly because I hear him perfectly, but he doesn't hear me so well. So if you think that I'm a little bit shouting when I'm asking the questions, it's not because I'm angry at him, but so that he can hear me much better. Anyhow, there is a lot of people joining already, and as usual, I will try to follow on your comments and on your questions if you will have any questions for Sean. My first question for you, Sean, as usual, for my guests, is going to be about the situation in Ireland at the moment. But let's put it somehow more on a personal basis. How much did your life change when this pandemic started?
Well, quite significantly, really. For a start, obviously, I'm not traveling abroad at all, and that was quite a big part of my life. Kathy and I would travel a lot for judging, so that has just completely stopped. As regards to administration, as soon as COVID, we were happy that it was going to really take over. Last March, just before our main St. Patrick's Day show, we cancelled all events organised by the Irish Kennel Club. And the Irish Kennel Club, in a way, are slightly different. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but we actually provide the insurance and all that as a block thing, and then we license it out to various shows who apply to us. So in that respect, once we pull down the shutters, for want of a better word, on that, it meant that no shows were just going to happen in Ireland until the future. From me personally, I have to say the interacting with my family, the reconnecting with a lot of them, particularly the nearest and dearest, has been very rewarding. And okay, we're all a bit fed up with TikTok and I'm running out of costumes to dress up for Zoom meetings every Saturday night. But
Yeah,
listen, we're meeting a lot, especially with my grandchildren, and that they come up to see us a lot because they're only from one household, and that's kind of okay with the legislation. So we're getting the opportunity to. It's been forced on us, and
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
mean that in a bad way, but we're actually interacting much better. And I'm learning, developing my relationship with them much more so than, oh, well, I can't go next weekend because I'm judging in Bahrain or whatever. So, in all honesty, I'm more available to my family and I'm enjoying that aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, for all of us dog people, the things have changed a lot, and we have like found out that we can also live without dog shows, and that the family life is also nice, and that staying at home is quite nice. But do you miss dog shows?
Yes, of course. I mean, I tell you, I've said this to a number of people. The opportunity to travel and the people you meet, it's amazing. It's such a rich tapestry and things it brings to your life. And you meet people, and they become your friends, and they're your dog show friends. And they come. You never have to face reality with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's
This is
true.
the beauty
That's
of it
true.
because you
Yeah,
only meet them at dog shows where you share the same passion and the same thing, and it works so well. So every
yeah,
time you meet them, you really look forward to it, and it's not insincere. It's genuine, really, when we see each other and we're so pleased to share each other's company. Now, I think it's like if you're in the normal world and you go on holidays and you meet somebody, say like you're holidaying maybe in Spain, and you meet somebody first day out, you and Javier, whatever, and they say, "Oh, we're from Split too." And then
yes,
suddenly
yes, yes.
you meet them two or three times and you get on terrific with them, and
Exactly,
they're
exactly.
interesting and they're great. And you make
Yeah,
the fatal mistake of saying, "We must meet when we go back home."
and
And
usually never
when you
happens.
meet them when you go back home, you share around the photographs. And do you remember this? Oh, yes. And this, yes. And then after 10 minutes, you're feeling uncomfortable. They're feeling uncomfortable because you
Yeah,
realize that you
yeah,
really have nothing in common. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
That's true.
that's the beauty of the people, the friends that we make in Dow. We only see each other where we're enjoying ourselves, where we're doing what we have a shared passion with. And it means it's genuine in its own way, but it's not real life. So I
Yeah, yeah,
miss
yeah.
that
For sure.
aspect of it. I really do, because
Yeah,
some of them are great company and entertaining.
yeah. And some are not, but we will not say that.
You can't legislate for that.
Yeah. Anyhow,
I think there's a good old saying: "Never approach a horse from the behind, a bull from a front, or an idiot from any direction."
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, but we have learned to live with that. Anyhow, Sean, I know that you are not Donald Trump or somebody who knows all the information about the vaccine and everything. But do you have any idea where the live, let's say, dog shows and other activities dog related in Ireland are going to start again?
I think the vaccine. I'm not as positive that there's going to be a vaccine that quick. Even if you have one, the trials. I mean, nowadays it's not a question of this seems to work. We'll work on that because it can sometimes cause more troubles than it cures. So the testing process, even if they do come up with what appears to be one, could be long and drawn out. We have our own show centre, as you probably know, in Dublin near the airport. And at the start of this pandemic, the HSE, the health authority here, because we stopped all events being ran out there. They asked us could they use it for a week for a testing centre, and that developed into a relationship with them. So at this stage, they approached us to see could they do a long-term lease on it. And I can tell you this much: the lease they asked for, and we've given it to them, is till next August.
August
That
next
says
year.
something. If they're not, despite what they're saying in the public relations and all the positioning they're doing, and I know that there's no security here or no certainty anywhere, and we're still fighting an enemy that we don't really understand. But if they're thinking that long term, that they're willing to lease out for it, it suggests to me that it's not going away. It's not going to cure. I think we must learn to work around it.
Yeah, yeah,
rather than, wait, it'll be gone after Christmas and everything will be grand, will be normal. I think we have to initially try and control it, get the facility to deal with the outcome of it, and then when we're sure of that, tick all those boxes, then we have to live with it. And then we will put, I'm sure, protocols in whereby we have to restart again. And I know people talk about the new normal, but some of the events that I've heard, you come, you get your time slot, you go, you leave, you sanitize. I mean, no groups. Who, in all honesty, is going to want that type of a sterile environment? I mean,
yeah,
we can't get to the stage where you bring your dog into the kennel club on the 1st of January, and he's put through a scanner like you do at the airport, and you get your x-ray results, and he gets tested by a vet down at the other end, and he's graded out of 100, and then out of the results we pick the top dog of all breeds and so on. So I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
it just doesn't work that way. It's a
yeah,
social occasion, and you take the social occasion out of it. You can't replace it by an emoji or a love heart or a like, any of that stuff. Physical contact is what we need. And listen, we have to work around it and learn how to reintroduce the physical contact aspect into our dog game, because that's where the reality is. It's the sharing of the hobby. It's
yeah,
not so
yeah.
much I know there's an element of ego to it, but it's the sharing. It's the sharing of the passion and being with like-minded people, which makes it and makes us a community.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. It has struck me now a little bit this information that you gave me, that they have asked you to use your facilities till August next year. But I mean, yes, in a way, we need to be honest, and I think we need to try to understand that this is not going to go so soon, and that they have been many things, and we have not managed to solve them very soon. For example, in our part of Europe, we have started quite a lot of shows outdoors, but indoors nothing is happening, and I also don't think that soon it's going to happen. But anyhow, let's wait and see. Anyhow, already there are a lot of people watching us, Sean, and I'm going to try to follow on the comments, and we have people listening from all around the world, from Italy, from Colombia, from Iceland, from Poland. Diane Stewart Rich is saying hello. I'm a top fan. People from Greece. Anna Sabo saying to you, Sean, you are fabulous. Much love from Norway. Then we have Valdis Vignis Dottir saying hello from Iceland. Sean Delmar, judge my Afghan Hound male best in show in 2016. People from Romania. Angela Ban saying much greetings from Dandy Black and Blue. Francesco Cocchetti saying you are such a great personality. Anyhow, a lot of people are watching, and I'm very happy that they are here with us, because I'm sure this is going to be interesting. Let's go a little bit to the past, Sean. How did Sean Delmar become a part of the purebred dogs world?
Well, it's my father was actually very involved originally, and he started our kennels. I think you have it in your lead in the late 40s, early 50s, and started off with the German Shepherd, but had no luck with that, and then gradually developed into Kerry Blues, which were becoming a really popular breed at the time. And he was quite very successful at it, breeding, exhibiting, presenting. And it seemed natural that my sister, who was my elder sister, she followed in, and I followed in as well. So it's been a family thing. And the funny thing about that, I know a lot of you understand this when you get that bug, and that initially it's interesting and you're wondering, but then you wonder, is this a stayer? Because every 2 years you've a rollover of same people. They're all coming out of the traps flying. Everything's wonderful, and they know everything, and they Googled and they have all the answers, and then 3 years later they're gone. But some people you just know are going to be stayers, and that's the way. You can't force your passion on your children, but really I took to it because I liked it and I enjoy it. And we kind of develop into the administration side of it. In Ireland we're so small, you really have to put something back if you're taking something out. And like you yourselves, and I know you do a great show for exhibitor orientated, and this is the heartbeat of the dog game. It's not the distant people who go on and win all these things and really, in a way, take more than they put back. It's the people who get down and provide a service and interact and realize that we're part of it. And this It's like various plays each weekend. This day I'm the leading man. Next
Yeah,
week I might be just a bit part. And the
yeah,
week after I might be the director or I might be the producer or whatever. So in
yeah,
other words, you get immersed in the whole thing and it becomes more a lifestyle and a
yeah,
choice. And
yeah.
really that's the way we gradually work through that. And I'm lucky that two of my sons, one of them, okay, had to concentrate on his career and he's not really directly involved anymore. But I still have a son, Ross, as you know, who's very passionate, very committed, and can talk me inside out on pedigrees. I would be
Hmm.
never good for that. I was more kind of a public PR man, but he's very dedicated on his pedigrees and lineage and all that. So, but listen, it's a great pleasure that he shares the same passion that we do.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you because you got the passion from your father, and I just wanted to ask you, in a way, if you are happy that Ross got also the same passion from you and Kathy. But obviously you are, and I think it's wonderful to know that Delmar tradition is going to go on also with the younger generations. That's I
Not
think
everybody would agree with you there.
yeah, probably. Well, I try to be nice.
Some might
Any-
say the theme from The Godfather is coming out in the
yeah,
background here.
yeah. Like, why him? Was it not enough, Sean and Katina also Ross? I can imagine that happening, but okay. What can we do? We cannot make everybody happy. That's one thing in life. Tell me, Sean, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it well. The family prefix of your cattle is Shilelag. Where did that name come from?
Um, Shalala is the name of it,
Shilela.
like the
Oh,
song Layla. Shalala.
okay. Very
It's
nicer.
I'd like to think that it was actually a shillelagh is an instrument used by old peasants. It's made from a hawthorn bush and it's a branch with a kind of a root at the top of it, and it was used as a weapon
Okay.
back in the 1800s. Now, I'd like to think it was something macho like that, and that my father had Kerry blues, and he thought that this would be a great thing, but not really. The reality is, they were driving through the Wicklow and a part outside Dublin with my mother when they were just after their honeymoon, and he saw a town, a little small town called Shillelagh, and he just thought that would be a nice name.
Yeah, but
So really, it's not as dramatic as it might
yeah,
seem, but
yeah,
it's an old Irish name and expression, and we were keen to Irish the whole kennel up. Like my name is Sean. It's an Irish name. My sister's name was Maura, and my younger brother's name is Padraig. That's Pat or Patrick in Irish. So we kind of, we have a little bit of sense of
yeah.
identity and pride in that.
Yeah, but also it also sounds very good. Shilela, I think it has a very nice sound.
I
Anyhow, so
did,
I
yeah. We had this, Ross and I, and then we never got the opportunity to do it. But we had this thing. If we were at a party of friends where you could, have a little bit of fun and extract the urine, as they say. We had we had this little thing put together, and it would be like the song of Layla. You know that song,
yeah, yeah.
Layla. Da, da, da. So we had this thing, Shalala, got them on their knees.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But
if we
I
thought
told
there
you, it
was
sounds
somebody
very
we
good.
wanted to really annoy, we thought we might sing that at some stage.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Anyhow, I know, Sean, that in your family, two main breeds were the Kerry Blues and the Smooth Fox Terriers, and I will talk a little bit more with you about that. But before we start with the two main breeds, I read in your CV that you had Sharpeys and Poodles and Cocker Spaniels and Sealyhams and Soft Coaties, Bichons and Wire Fox Terriers. Can we make a kind of a short, I don't know, look back on these few breeds that you had among the two main breeds that
Yeah,
you had?
I just give you a little feel for why and how.
Yeah,
The Wire Fox Terrier is an obvious one, really. There, um, you said about our family. My father was kind of showing. My sister was showing. I was showing, right? And Kathy comes in on top of this. Uh, so you know the way things work in a small country.
yeah,
There's the alpha male, the beta male, the alpha female, the beta female, and then the awards go down the line. We like to think that the best dog will always win, but the reality is it depends a lot of the times
yes,
to spread the sweets around. So Kathy was finding that she was really at the end of the pile. By the time they looked after my father, my sister, me, and then there was Kathy down at the end. So it was very difficult for her to establish herself in the breed in Kerry Blues at that time. So I went to a guy in an area close to me who had a litter of wire fox terriers, and I bought it was a litter of 12, very unusual, a litter of 12,
Yeah.
and I bought her a male pup out of that. And that was her start to get really involved and became her project. And she actually became very good at it, at presenting them, hand stripping, plucking, all of that. And eventually, actually, that young dog, he went to best in show all breeds at the age just before he was a year old, which was a great thrill for Kathy at the time because it kind
Of course.
gave her her own independence and her own thing. The
Yeah, yeah,
poodles
of
was
course.
because of my mother. My mother wanted a pet poodle, so it didn't work out. So I ended up with the poodle, and then I got her another one. So and then my father also had Sealinghams at one stage, and we had Sealinghams and bred Sealinghams for a couple of years as well. But to be honest with you, I just didn't take to them. Not the breed. The breed is a lovely breed, but the presentation and issues and so on with the dogs that I had at the time, I didn't like to stay with them. Sharpei was simple. We were at Crufts and we met this couple who had Sharpei, and they were very talking to us and interested and asked us. There was none in Ireland at the time, and they asked us would we take a bitch from them over and show it and so on. So we did, and very different breed. Those who know it, I know will tell you they are really very different, very independent, have a lot of cat-like habits. Like for instance, their paws, they, they they use them differently. They kind of go around this way. They're very dexterous with their paws, and their eating habits can be strange. This one actually loved curry for some reason or other, curry, but a very loving dog to people, to old people. We found the Sharpei was. The reason we never continued with them is I couldn't get over the health issues at that time. I mean,
Yeah.
things have changed now and they're a lot better now, but at that time there was a lot of cancer and a lot of eye and over to things. So we just couldn't do that. And she died too young, as far as I'm concerned. And it was very sad to see her drift away like that when she was only, what, 6 years of age. We're used to terriers. Terriers
Yeah, yeah,
live
of course.
forever,
They live forever,
So,
yes.
I mean, it's more of an old folks' home, not a kennel, it turns out to
Yeah.
be. But really,
Yeah.
that's the trust to all of that. Most of what we had. An
Yeah.
interesting journey, though.
Absolutely, yes. And I think usually when I speak with my guests, I think that people who had this kind of opportunity to have at home different breeds, usually later on when they start to judge, it makes it much easier for them because they are used to the different kind of dogs and approaching and temperaments and everything.
Yeah. One thing
Anyhow, let
about that on that subject, um, that's one of the few benefits of living on a small island with a small
yeah,
population and with quarantine and all that. So years ago, there was no opportunity for interaction or really get using dogs from abroad. And the big deal was England, if you ever could do that. But it was very parochial and isolated. So the dog shows you would have to meet friends. So our friends, maybe of our 10 friends that we'd be with dog shows, one would have Dobermans, one would have Yorkshire Terriers, one might have poodles, one might have a gun dog. And we were all very social and going to the pub drinking. And you couldn't just bore them to death, me talking about Kerry Blues, because the guy with the Dobermans would want to talk Dobermans and so
of
on.
course,
With the
yeah,
result, we
yeah,
accidentally educated each other,
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
by ranting about a judgment or something.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's amazing the amount you picked up in a social situation like that where people with a passion, are talking about their breed. And a lot of the information that I and attitudes, I think I owe it to a lot of that. Not like
yeah.
sometimes in Britain they have maybe one breed, Labradors, 400 at a show. They get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. They sit with the catalogue. They go throughout thing and they watch all those dogs running around in a circle and looking at catalogs. I mean, that's not going to give you an attitude towards any other breed. Okay, it might tell you something about movement and construction, but it certainly wouldn't train you for anything else. So the fact that smaller numbers forced to be listening to and interact with people in other breeds was a good base ground to come from.
yeah. I mean, when I speak about people, when I started this show, it was just like because I was bored at home with this Corona thing and we could not travel anywhere. So I said I need to do something with myself. But it's actually, I had the opportunity to travel the world and by organizing split shows to talk with many people from the dog world. But you learn in these kind of conversations, you learn so much about different breeds, maybe breeds that are not interesting for you normally, but when people talk about them you get so many amazing information that it's really something special, and that's the same thing. Anyhow,
If I
let's
could
go
just
back.
comment on that, Ant, if you don't mind me coming in there.
Yes, yes.
Exactly what you say. And sometimes a conversation, a short conversation with somebody who is a specialist, you can learn more than that without reciting the standard backwards, cross or sideways in the four FCI languages with all the angles and all the Latin phrases you like under the sun. Sometimes a quick little conversation can give you a feel for the breed, because locomotion and instruction is the same really, and you should be able to follow that. For instance, the first time I judged the Central Asian Shepherds in Germany, or sorry, in Russia, Freudian slip. uh, I was going to judge them, and I said, I'm not comfortable with these. I haven't judged them before. And they say, we are qualified. You have to do them. They want somebody different. And there was an older guy there, and I just mentioned it to him, and he apparently was a specialist. And he said, judge it like a dog, which was a good start. He
Yeah,
says, two things: head of a polar bear, body of a panther.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that gave me an image straight away.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah, it's it's as you say. Sometimes it's just important to get the image, and everything starts to be much easier. Let's go back now. First to the carries. You told me that actually your father started with the breed. Do you? I don't know if you still have carries or not. But tell me a little bit about your story with the Kerry Blues.
well, no, we haven't got Kerrys at the moment. We're we're thinking, because the Kennel Club is 100 years old in 22,
Okay.
and the Dublin Irish Blue Terrier Club is 100 years old next year. And in all honesty, I would like to have a Kerry Blue for that time, just
Yeah.
to have one. I would like to have one, and I miss them. But unfortunately, with the trimming and the upkeeping, and Ross's passion is mainly with the smooth fox terriers, so he's still with us here. So we just wouldn't have the time, especially with my administration work in the Kennel Club as well. Just wouldn't have the time to give it. But listen, my heart is still there, so I'd like to go back there. They're a fascinating breed, and I think anyone who knows me knows about my lifetime's passion with them. I've had all different kinds of ones, and the thing about I find about them is that they have such ring presence. There's a certain period of time, and so it's very hard to describe. Sometimes you're in a ring and people think, oh, you're baiting them, you want them to be aggressive. It's not really that at all. But the best possible time you can get is if you have a Kerry Blue that's a confident dog and a macho dog, and he should not be attacking other dogs. That's not what's wanted at all. But he should be there like a gladiator, like here I am. Here I
Yeah.
am. I'm ready now, right? Come on. And there comes a time, and you will get that sensation, and you've handled them, so you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a Kerry
Absolutely.
Blue just focuses on something. He turns around sideways, and he maybe half lifts a little paw or something and just looks. The tail comes right forward, the ears come out right up at that, the eye focuses, and there's nearly a trembling coming up through the lead that you can feel. That to me is magic. That to me
Yeah.
is magic. You have to feel part of that and to feel that energy and intensity. So I always love that about them. And the fact
Yeah.
that the bitches can be so sweet and
Yeah.
make such bonds.
Yeah. I mean, we know each other for a long time, and I handled many different breeds, and I had this one Kerry which I showed quite a lot. I won the CC at Crafts under Catty actually some
Mm.
years ago, and I mean, he was not an easy dog to show, but my God, what a feeling it was to show him. Exactly what you explained. Like they are so uh, very special dogs in every way. I think so. I
Well,
can I can come.
you can
Yeah, I
ride
can understand
you
your
you could
passion.
ride a push bike. And
Yeah,
you'll get there by riding, or you can
yeah,
ride a big, powerful motorbike that's aggressive that really takes you there. The
yeah,
choice is
yeah,
yours.
yeah, exactly. For how long you were breeding carries?
Um, oh, probably 30 years.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we were lucky. Now we had well, I don't mean lucky in that it's a lottery. We were fortunate. Sometimes you do everything right and you breed right, and it just doesn't work out for you. But we were very fortunate to have some really nice dogs, and we've had the opportunity to have bred and shown and exhibited a top dog or in the breed in UK and Ireland, top sire, top brood bitch at one stage or another. And my father's won group at Crufts back in the day as well. So we've a lot of history that with the breed. And as far as I'm concerned, sometimes you have to let one go. We had a dog, and he was a marvelous dog. But for some reason or another, no matter what we did, and you could examine him and you couldn't find fault, but he could not move in the front to save his life. He really couldn't. He was all over the place in the front.
yeah, yeah,
And the more I examined him, and I know what I'm looking for, I couldn't understand. And I never really understood what was wrong. And
yeah,
you're looking at him, and his coat was perfect, his attitude was right, and he was a winner every time, except once that front movement was seen by the judge, they just
yeah,
kind of just couldn't accept it. And they
yeah.
were right. We actually gave him to a professional footballer in UK who was playing Premiership football in UK some years ago, and he did well.
Yeah.
But listen, we had some great times with them. Our son Ross named a litter of Kerry Blues we had after American wrestlers.
Okay.
And it was Shalala Ravishing Rick was one.
Okay.
He actually went to Sweden, sold
Okay.
by Mia Sandgren in Sweden. It was a really nice, a big macho dog, and did well for her out there as well. And another one went to Germany. A friend of ours, Peter in Germany, was called Jake the Snake. And they thought, what a terrible name to give a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Um, anyhow, let me catch up on some comments, Sean, because there are a lot of people writing. My assistant Valentina Župan is saying hello to us from Kiev. We have people from Netherlands, Divo, who is always watching our show from Brazil. Then you just mentioned Mia Sangren from Sweden. She's watching the show. Hello from South Africa. Let's see. Nina Viscari saying so true. You see the stairs. Greetings from Finland. Then we have hello from Israel, from Greece, from Austria, from Croatia. Francesco Cocchetti saying, let me see. We all learn from the good breeders. We must be honest, and without them, we couldn't be in the rings every weekend. Teresa Schubertova saying greetings from the Czech Wheaton family fan. So there are people from Kazakhstan, from Denmark. So people from all around the world are watching the show, and I'm very happy about this. Let's go now, Sean, to smooth fox terriers. I know that Ross is, and you said it already, very passionate about them, and I suppose that's the only breed that you still have at home. Tell me a little bit about your journey with the smooth fox terriers.
Um, we we wanted another dog, and we still had Kerry Blues at the time, and we were thought about it. And the Wires, to be frank with you, there were three really strong, influential breeders and exhibitors of Wire Fox Terrier in Ireland. And to be frank with you, it was very difficult to keep up with them, not only breeding wise, quality wise, and politically, all three.
Of
So
course.
it was just three steps too far. So we thought we'd try the smooth fox. We liked the athleticism of the breed, and we thought they were probably a little bit more cleverer than the Wires. So that's how we went to buy a bitch from an old guy here living in Dublin, and he was talking nonsense money. But as we were in his kennels, he was trying to get her to show herself, but she was a terrible bitch. Uh, but there was a dog in a run down the end, and we see him, and he had a great headed dog looking down. And so we said to him, "No, we don't really. But is he for sale?" And anyway, we bought him. He was 3 year old at the time, and apparently he'd been through 3 or 4 hands of people who should have known what they were doing. And was a failed dog, so he was just being moved around from Billy to Jack. So when we got him, he fitted in well with our family. We kind of got him. We understood him. And he came on in leaps and bounds with us. A strong dog, maybe a little too heavy in the front for some, but a head to die for. That, and you know yourself, my father used to always say head, neck, and front. If you have them, it's going to be very hard to lose.
Yeah.
And he had a great head and expression always, constantly. So he did quite a lot of winning for us. So we started our journey then. We got dogs in from UK, from America, all over the place to set our own line. And we finally got a line that we were happy with, mainly tan and whites, that we were running through. And this is our eldest son, Jeff, who's no longer at the game now, but still has a really keen interest in it. He was very committed and involved. And I think that passion that he had sparked into Ross as well, because of the same principle there. So Ross then started to get involved, and we developed a really nice line of dogs, especially of bitches. And we used an American dog that was being shown in UK at the time, and we got really, you don't often get that when you use an outcross. Okay, the most concept is keep what you have and gradually introduce what you want. But don't risk what you have. So this dog actually didn't risk any of the qualities that we had, and he did give us an extra little bit of tighter, stronger tail set and good, strong hindquarters. So we put a row of terriers, nice, really nice terriers together, won annual champion 15, maybe more times a year, and top dog all breeds at one stage, top terrier quite a few times as well with them. And listen, they're a sensible breed, they're a clever little breed. Anyone who thinks that you don't train them and you just get a chamois and rub them off and walk into the ring,
Yeah.
they've a big lesson
Makes it
to learn.
easier. Yeah.
It doesn't work out that way again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then worldwide, there's different approaches to them. Like unless they're all white with a black head, you do nothing in the States. Some of the continentals would go for heavier markings and would be quite acceptable. In the States, you wouldn't get off first base with them, you know. And then New Zealand and Australia are, so it's a breed that's very healthy quality wise worldwide. And of course, Andros and Judith in Hungary producing great stuff. And of course, Bad Santa.
Yeah. 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 Okay. We understood everything. Yeah. The boss. Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, before I ask you my next question, just let me say that Mia Sandgren wrote to you. Thank you, Sean. Rick was a great dog. Filippo Tasselli of the famous Balboa Kennel saying, hello, Mr. President. And then Jose Doval is asking you if you are going to sing for us tonight. And you are going to sing if I allow you to sing, because that's I'm not sure that we will see. Let's see how it goes, and then maybe for the end we keep something like that. Anyhow, I want to ask you, Sean, because you are for so long time involved with both breeds, with the Kerris and with the Smooth Fox Terriers. When you look back, let's say in the time when your father started with the Kerris and when you started in the Smooth Fox Terriers, when you look quality of the dogs at that time and you compare them to the quality of the dogs today, do you think that the breeds are going in a good direction, or you think they are not going in a good direction?
I think certainly we'll get the presentation out of the way first. Yes, of course, the presentation now is much better, and the attention and the effort and the professionalism of the presentation is kind of brings, so the image you're getting is much more structured and sculptured. So get that out of the way first. As regards to the dogs themselves, I think some of them have improved. Like the Kerry ears have lifted a little. Like I don't want them. I hate them high in the head like a fox terrier. But the Kerrys, their ears in general have lifted a little, and they kind of got a little bit better behind. They were a shorter moving dog, a shorter stepping dog with a heavier ear back in the day. Probably due to the emphasis of coat, because coat and colour were predominantly what was the big no-no about them in those days. I mean, that was gave a lot of importance to that, and sometimes at the sacrifice of other elements of it. So I think the Kerrys, we deal with them first. The Kerrys, I think, probably are, and I know some people mightn't like to hear me say that, but I think worldwide they're better. I would
Okay.
think so. Some of them may be a little bit too light for me. I like them to be a stronger, more macho type dog. But the thing is, you see, when you have the coat, you can give the outline and the shape, and everything looks
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful. But I think they overall they're good. They're a confident dog. I don't like them too much shown to bait. I hate to see the dog begging for a biscuit and a Kerry Blue. I want them to stand like a soldier. I really do. I like that element of them.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think we have to accept that most judging the groups, especially groups and all breed judges and best of breed, performance and outline is going to nearly wins every time. And this idea, me being macho about a Kerry Blue should be freestanding. Okay, you might be freestanding him there, and if he's not, if he's acting a maggot or if his legs are tucked under him or you can't get him steady and he keeps moving, chances are Mr. or Mrs. All Rounder who's looking along the line is going to go for something that you can see an outline that's nice and steady, that's easy to assess, right?
Yeah.
And that moves around like a sighthound,
Yeah.
and that's going to win. So,
Yeah.
statue, move like a sighthound, winner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
As regards
Unfortunately,
to the
but
fox terriers, they're different. They're the sizes are different, different parts of the world. But overall, I think they're very strong. Also, I think they really are in a strong place. So I would say both stronger.
okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's go first to the Kerrys. I want to ask you one thing. Also, because it's an Irish breed. My question is, when you look at the Kerry, what do you think is like the most important thing to define the correct type of the breed? And my second question, also about the Kerrys, is what do you think at the moment is the biggest problem in the breed?
Excuse me. To me, Kerry's expression, and I know that's an easy thing to say, and it requires interpretation because every dog has an expression. So I mean that sounds, and the expression has to be hard, not aggressive, hard, very stern, very solid, not cute. So to me, that you get that by the ears are not that high set, a little bit lower set, closer to the side of the head, going towards the eye, not up high. Also, the attitude, the stance of the dog, coming up, looking slightly over the lead. This all adds to the hardness and a relatively small dark eye. So you have a relatively small dark eye, a longish foreface, ears a little bit down by the side of the head, and a dog that's really interested. That's a hard, proper Kerry Blue expression to me. And once you get used to looking at it and seeing it, you'll always see it.
Yeah.
I can't stand the ones with their heads held right back up like this and the ears half flopping up and they looking, oh please give me a biscuit. I can't stand that in a Kerry. That kills me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one thing about them. The coat, listen, the coat is important because they are a Kerry Blue Terrier, and blue people get confused about the blue. It can be quite dark, but still have a blue hue off it, and that's kind of acceptable. Um, the Probably the worst part is the texture. I think it's very easy to go in and breed in some heavier coats, like poodle types of coats into them with tight curls, mainly because you can trim any shape into them, especially on the line from that, you know this, right? From the
Yeah.
line from the nape of the head down onto the shoulder. I mean, if you have a poodle coat, you can put any shape. You can have a lovely arched, smooth shape. Whereas if you have kind of a light coat, a split coat like the half wave, it's a nightmare to get that line down there. You're tinning scissors, you're coming back just to try and get a nice smooth line down onto the neck. Because in the years gone by, it was a neck and a back, But now they like the nice
Yeah.
gradual
To
thing.
make it. Yeah.
So that's really why sometimes the heavier coats are bred a little bit more because they give a better shape and they can win. But really, a single coated breed, it should be a half curl or a wave, uh, and the color should be blue. And one guy I used to have years ago, a pal of mine, and he said, you should be able to take the dog out into the street and ask a young fella, any kid passing down the road, what color is that dog? And if he says black, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And what do you think at the moment is the biggest problem in the breed? You mentioned ears, you mentioned a little bit the coat texture.
I think overall tail sets are quite good, despite the introduction of no docking anymore. I think
Yes.
tails are quite good. Um, Hindquarters, not bad, not too bad. There used to be a lot of them are very straight behind with no kind of hip bones out at all, but that's quite good. Maybe some of them a little too long on the thigh, like Afghan. You know, they'll be going swooping
Yeah.
down to the little hocks, a big swooping down. That type of thing says there's no power. It might be enough just to bounce you around the ring in a nice gliding movement, but the reality is for a potentially originally working dog, that type of back hind quarters wouldn't be no use for pulling something out of a hole or in a confined area like that. So that's an element that I don't like. I also don't like weak across the loin. When I put my hand there, I like to feel a little bit of strength in that back for the same reason what I talk about the hind quarters
Yeah.
and foreface. I like a strong foreface. I don't like a
Yeah.
weak underjaw. Once again,
Yeah.
going back to its origins.
Yeah.
That's the things that are important to me.
Okay. Okay. I have my next question ready, but before that, I want to read three comments. Andrew Brace is saying, as expected, great sound dog sense delivered with Sean's unique humor. Sole Ragna Ragsna Dottir saying, what wonderful, clear description of what makes the correct expression. Very educative. Thanks a lot. Francesco Coquetian saying, not only a good description, but also a lot of passion about it. Anyhow, my question will be the same now, Sean, about the smooth fox terriers. It means what do you think is the most important thing on the breed which defines the correct type, and what do you think is at the moment the biggest problem in the breed?
Um, the smooth fox, there's no hiding. Everything I said about the Kerry does not apply to the smooth fox
Okay.
because really, I know we talk about, and I know there is an element of trimming and knife work and thinning scissors and so on, and to give that shape and to stop the tufts of hairs and to give an outline. But you can't reinvent. You can reinvent a Kerry if you have enough coat and you're good with a scissors. You can reinvent, reshape a Kerry. You can't really do that with a fox terrier. So there's kind of no forgiveness really in the front of a fox terrier. I find there's just no, if it's wrong, it's wrong, and you see it, and there's nothing you can do about it, and all the hiding in the world. So I think fronts you have to get right. I do think that the top lines and tail sets are really good, mostly worldwide in them, and okay, some of them are a little straight and stifle, but most of them have decent hocks and good tight feet. The foreface, I don't like them too weak in the foreface. I think sometimes they go for length and they forget about strength. So I don't like a long, pencily little foreface. I don't really like that. I like of course, I like a bit of length, but I think there should be strength in the foreface as well and well filled under the eye, not dishing away like that. So overall, I think they're in a good position. They're in a good way, and I'm happy with the
And
breed.
if you think that there is one thing that is like the main problem in the breed today, what would you say it is?
With the fox terriers.
Yes.
Um,
I
Sometimes you
mean, when
find gaps, and I wouldn't be a dentist or a teeth man. No, I really wouldn't. I'm not the type that kind of gets the calculator out for the teeth or anything like that.
yeah,
Uh, but I don't like to see holes here and here.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think if you're going for length at the expense of dropping a few teeth, I don't like that as well.
yeah,
And I suppose straightness behind. I don't like straight behinds.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay, okay. Listen, Sean, you are a terrier man all your life, and I'm sure that you can deal with the next four questions which I have. They are quite short, but in a way maybe somebody will find them a bit provocative or whatever. But I want to hear your honest opinion about it. My first question will be about sparring.
About
What do you think about sparring?
say
Sparring,
again. Sorry.
sparring, how you call it when they go one to another when you
Oh,
show two
sparring. Yeah.
sparring? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I maybe I thought I didn't
No, no,
pronounce
no.
it well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Because I know in Europe, in many countries, it's not allowed anymore. I know in the USA, it's a normal practice, something that they really want to see when they show terriers. What is your opinion about it?
Um, I don't do it as the way the Americans do it as a course. They do it
Yeah,
as a matter of course. I I don't do it myself as a matter of course. I won't sort of say introduce the dogs here and there. But at the same time, I like to establish to see will a dog, well, the breeds are talking about, but specifically Kerry Blues and most of the terrier breeds, they should all hold their ground. They should have that confidence that they should stand there and they shouldn't be bullied or threatened out of it. So, I mean, so I don't mind if dogs interact, move, and turn towards each other. I'm not one of these, no, turn your dog around, turn your dog around. And I will at some stage, if I find two dogs are kind of close enough and I want to make a decision on them, I'd like to see which one is the most confident and the most sure dog. And I will then ask them just to turn their dogs towards each other, not for a
okay,
fight or anything like that. And
yeah,
I never let it get to that stage. But I just want to see how they look at each other. Is one of them more confident than the other? And if there is, that's the one that wins. It's very simple as that, because they should be all sure, confident dogs, and they shouldn't be
yeah,
afraid to meet each other. We can't
yeah,
dominate them entirely. They should be able to. Terriers should be able to stand on their own. They
yeah.
should be natural feral dogs. They should be able to survive if you put them out on the street.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyhow, okay. My second question is nowadays when we look in the ring terriers, many people from outside of the ring will say, "Oh, this tail is fixed. These ears are fixed." Um, do you think that people are fixing a lot the tails and ears in terriers in general?
um, I, there used to be a lot of that. Listen, I'm not going to hide behind the door.
This is,
Of course,
I
there
think
was a
it's,
lot of that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it was the idea was not to recreate a dog, but to sharpen the expression. Or this was the whole concept of it. But I think as the ear sticking got better and better, and as you know yourself, most of us in the terriers that have the kind of folded ears, if there's a certain ear, we will stick them with whatever the appropriate glue. It's Copydex I use to stick them down when they're getting their back teeth and so on, because they can go all over the place. And if you have a rose ear on a Kerry Blue or a Fox Terrier, you can leave it at home. So you run that potential if the ear is kicking out when they're getting their back teeth. So we just tap the ears down to make sure that they are. Okay, sometimes it doesn't work. And in
yeah,
years gone by, if an ear went up or cropped or whatever, or up high, erect, yeah, the guys would have all kinds of operations, instruments, glues. Uh, some of the favorite ones would have been a lamb castrator. That was a favorite one back in the day,
okay,
because that's the lamb castrator. Apparently, it didn't cut the sack, but it cut the tendon. So that was the idea of it. But
yeah.
everyone knew somebody who had a special kind of the terrier man who do this, do that, and the other. As regards to me, how would I approach it as a judge? Um, I suppose I'd have to nearly be able to have my mind prove that it was done. Because
Yeah.
if you decided that ears is not going to be an important part of your breeding program, that don't mind the ears, sure, I can bang them if they don't work out. You're not going to take that into consideration, and that's not for the good of the dog. So if I think the natural setting of the ear is good, and I have maybe a suspicion that this is a little bit too sharp, the crease is that little bit too sharp, and it should be. Um, I I might be a little bit forgiving if I thought it was from the right place. If I see the big mark underneath on the inside of the ear, that is obviously a really aggressive type of job done for an effect. No, down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. My third question. Living near to Germany, Austria, and all these countries, Switzerland, where everything is forbidden. What do you think about using the chalk, hairspray, and other things on terriers?
We have field trials. We have working tests, right? We have all of these things, right? Let's get over this, right? This is a beauty contest, right? It is, no matter what. We can pack it up whatever way we like. So I think an element of presentation and preparation should be allowed. I don't mean a dog coming in a puff of smoke now coming in and a puff of chalk coming into the ring. But listen, reasonable preparation. I don't like to see dogs diet or anything like that. But I think a little bit of chalk, a little bit of presentation does no harm at all. And if it glamorizes the dog and shows the qualities of the dog off better, I mean, what's the problem? You'll still have the same texture of the coat.
Yeah,
If you think the coat has died, well, that's a problem. That's a fault. And there's
yeah,
easy way to find out. If you go towards the root, you'll see where it changes. Like the COVID women who can't get to the hairdressers. You'll
yeah.
see you'll you'll see the same thing. So you should be able to see that. But a little bit of chalk here and there just to enhance the dog. I don't see a problem with that. I
Okay.
mean, let's face it. Miss World without makeup and a hairdo.
Exactly, exactly. I remember many years ago I was showing the one Maltese in Denmark, and it was a lady judge from Netherlands, and she had like a big hair like this done, and she said to me, "Oh, you have a lovely dog, and I gave it best to breed, but please for the next time, don't put so much hairspray on the top knots." And I say, "Well," I said, "I need to tell you, like, you know probably how it feels for you when you wake up in the morning without all this hairspray." And I said, my dog looks the same, so I just tried to help him a little bit,
Yeah.
and she was laughing and she accepted it. But yeah, a little bit of, we are not talking about over grooming. We are
Yeah.
talking about letting us use a little bit, as you said, just to make it a little bit more interesting or more special.
It's
Okay,
still
and
the same dog. It's still the same dog, and you can
exactly,
judge the hairdressing as well if you like. But
yeah,
really, judge the dog. That's just
yeah,
enhancing and giving him a better chance and a better outline. I mean, you
yeah,
might as well say you shouldn't wash him because if you use a certain shampoo, he'll be more than this. You can overdo it. A little bit
yeah.
of presentation, fine. It shows people are willing to make the effort.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, and my last question, it's also for someone who is all his lives in terriers. I know in the past it was absolutely normal to pick up the terrier for the tail and put it on the table. Now it's not allowed anymore. And we remember all the story about Crafts and the Scotty and this thing in the USA. It's still a normal thing to do. How do you feel about it?
I I grew up with all that, and it was quite normal. And if you look at certainly the breeds I was involved in, because I'm old enough to have been attending trials, badger trials with Kerry Blues when I was a young boy, and all this stocking comes for working reasons. And with the terriers, excuse me for a minute, I'm trying to make up my mind what I'm going to say here.
Okay.
No, the original one with the Kerry Blue and the Fox Terriers was enough for a man's hand to grasp. And that's what they were cut to, just that enough. And that was to pull them out of the hole. If they were down underground with a badger, they had just enough, not enough that it would be too long that it could get broken in close contact underground, but long enough for a man to be able to grab it to pull the dog out. Now that was the origins of it. And yes, of course I did. I spent all my life. I docked all my own dogs' tails and their dew claws. I know it's not acceptable now, and we don't do it anymore, and that's the way it is. But I can tell you, I did them all, and there was no trauma on the dogs at all. It's usually done at 2 or 3 days. Small little nip off the top, some permanganate, little searcher at the end of the thing. Finished, job finished. No real stress. Straight asleep again. The pups. You just
Yeah, yeah.
woke them up. So
I
I
know.
didn't see it as a thing. But I understand. I wouldn't like to go on to national television and explain why we cut the tails of all the different variety of breeds. I know we see a sensible reason for it and origins and working and all that. But reality is, it's not an argument you can, and I would never try
Yeah,
to deliver to the general community. So I think we just have to let that one go and see it
yeah,
as a practice that's gone and finished.
yeah. But if you would have an exhibitor who would put up the terrier on the table in front of you and would pick it up for the tail, would you mind it, or you would just
No,
afterwards?
for the same reason. I listen. I do that regularly to myself. It's the easiest way to get them up, really. And people are saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're doing that because you don't want to upset his coat." And all. It's nothing to do with that. It's just the easiest way. If you
Yeah.
put your hand there, you're supported by the cheekbones. There's no stress on the dog's neck. The hand behind it's handy. You can just get him up nice and easy onto the table. I've never seen. Okay, a dog that's not used to it might find it objectionable, but dogs, the Cairns, the Scotties, Westies, Fox Terriers, more the short leggeds. It's
Yeah.
just that much easier than getting down
Yeah.
on your hands and knees to put your hand under him. Then you're
Yeah.
going on top of the dog. You're making it all stressed. Where that can be a very quick thing up on the table. So
Yeah.
to be frank with you, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
I mean, yeah. I mean, I have Scottish now at home. I have quite 6, 7 of them. And they love when you like pull them a little bit for the tail because it makes them more happy and like a little. I mean, they really love it, and so yeah,
I,
I can complete.
I couldn't agree more with you, especially if they're showing looking at another dog and you just get them.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to control them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
they don't even notice it. They just
No. 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 Absolutely. I have a feeling they love it.
Mm,
So
mm.
anyhow, let me ask you one question from the comments from our viewers. Before that, I'm going to say that Marian Petrovsky wrote amazing educative interview. Best regards to both of you. And then Teresa Schubertova is asking you. I would like to hear from Mr. Delmar explanation of fox terrier movement. They differ so much from other terrier breeds. What is the correct fox terrier movement and front?
The shoulders, the shoulders are the same on quite a lot of breeds, and the body length is very similar in a lot of breeds. So their movement, by the fact of the pure, uh, the the angles of it should be the same, right? They're not quite as far-reaching as other breeds, as other longer-legged terriers. They're a little bit shorter stepping, but they shouldn't be tippy-tappy. They're not tippy-tappy little mincing movement. That means the shoulder has to be high. If they're like that, or they're totally unfit, one or the other. There's two things about them, and it's the same principle. The hindquarters is the engine room. The middle is the carriage where all the important passengers like the heart and the lungs and all are taken. And the front is for to stop the head from falling on the ground and to change direction. So they're key elements of the thing. So I would say a fair amount of extension in front, good round propulsion from behind, and the hind legs should not be under too far under the body, but not reaching out, not very far reaching back either. So they're probably, and their standard says this is no exaggerations everywhere, and the same would apply to the movement, not overreaching, but certainly not tippy tapping. It's just moderate. The breed is actually everything about it should be moderate, really.
Yeah.
Now I know the ones with the slight exaggerations are probably the ones that are going to win, but really
Yeah.
the reality is they're supposed to be a moderate dog everywhere, square in body. The angles at the back should be the same, 45 at the front, and all of those little things. So
Yeah.
not so much a big long galloping lead or extended lead, but still some decent extension in the front movement and
Yeah.
balanced movement behind.
Okay, I'm sure Teresa is happy with your answer. Um, let's move now a little bit from the dogs to you. I want to ask you the one thing about your judging career. First of all, how did it start? And then the second thing, what you like the most and what you hate the most about judging.
um, Well, as I say, it kind of it becomes a lifestyle in what you do. This whole dog game, and it developed from being kennel boy in our house to sitting to doing the car park at the small dog shows. All of this thing. So, um, the thing about you eventually get the opinion where somebody thinks that you have a decent dog and says he seems to have a nice dog. Well, we get him to judge first and see how he gets on. And then in Ireland we had very small shows, what they call limited shows. You enter on the day, and it was always in the local village hall or a workman's club, and usually on a Sunday. And that would be the first opportunity you new up and comer would get, and that's where I started. So you would have this hall, maybe no more than 60, less even 50, less even 50 square meters, right? With 100 dogs of all breeds in it. every kind of old, hysterical, big, fat old woman with toy breeds,
Yeah.
aggressive terrier men looking to daunt you. And this was your introduction to do classes, mixed classes of those. The classes would be bred by exhibitor, not bred by exhibitor, huge classes, maybe 40 in each class, all different breeds. So you were really thrown in at the deep end, and that's kind of the big, and everybody trying to intimidate you. So it was a very daunting start, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And I think they get it much easier now with their modules and their exams and their things then,
Yeah.
because that was really tough going. That was. But that's where I started. And then you develop, if you do a reasonable job and don't upset too many people, they let you go along a little bit, and then you might be asked to do your own breed, and then it develops from there. Our system is based on gradual progression, and the minimum you will do in Ireland would be probably about 23, 24 years before you could achieve all breed status, because it's structured to make sure your knowledge is bedded in rather than fast tracking forward. So as I developed, then we also did a lot of open shows in UK, which I will be eternally grateful for, because going over there, they had big numbers, and it was a great opportunity for us to have large numbers of dogs. And because we were very successful with our Kerry Blues, and that we were known over there, so with the result, we got invited to some various shows, and that was a great betting and experience for us. So gradually, I went through the process with the Irish Kennel Club, and then we joined the FCI. I started to judge first country Germany, and gradually, once again, people think it's a magic wand that you have to know somebody or be a president or anything like that. Not really. What happens is you judge a show, wherever it is, and see somebody is looking into that show, and they're you judging and they're saying, he seems to be doing okay. We must ask him to do our show. And then is the domino effect from then on.
Yeah.
And
Of
people,
course.
just
Yeah.
as they like what you do, they'll ask you. If you're kind and mannerly with the exhibitors or whatever, if you seem to have a knowledge, there's different reasons why. So it gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And to this stage, yeah, I'm very pleased with it. As regards to what uh, I like the opportunity of giving my opinion, and I'm never precious about it. I give my opinion, and I don't think it's the best opinion in the world. That's not
Yeah.
what it's meant to be. All it is, it's a genuine opinion given sincerely, and I'd like to think that I've done enough experience and education to have an opinion worth listening to. Not obeying, not saying, not write a book about it, but just to listen, to be listened to. And if you don't agree, that's fine. But that's the way it is. As regards to what I don't like about judging, uh, I have to say, and I've said this before, I hate judges who come up with this comment. I was very disappointed in the breed.
Yeah.
I hate hearing that comment,
Yeah.
because I think it's so patronizing towards you might be in a country where they're very challenged in what they can and the opportunity they have, or the social structure mightn't allow for them to do all the great things that we do in the more developed countries. And here they are talking about how disappointed they are. You have to be encouraging. You might have bad news. Sometimes you have bad news to give people, like you don't like their dog and you might have to grade it a very good or a good and tell them why, but tell them in a respectful and a mannerly way. And if you can, be positive. Don't approach it all negatively. Be positive. The one thing that kills me is the judges who judge like Chinese, and I think some of the Scandinavians have a habit of doing this, and that says they do the standard from the back page. Disqualifying faults, serious faults, faults, heights, weights, measurements. By the time you get all those out of the bin, you're probably up with about 10 generic magnolia dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come at
Yeah.
it positive. Look for type. Look for something special. Forgive a little bit. Every dog will have faults, so forgive a little bit of things, and don't come at it too negatively. You have to
Yeah.
comment on the negative stuff, of course you have, in your report, and do it accordingly. But try and be positive if you can be, and encouraging for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, Sean, after so many years that you are judging dogs all around the world, is there still a breed that you are always excited to be invited to judge? And is there still a breed that you need to have like extra preparation for?
Yeah, there's a few of each.
Okay.
um, Well, listen, Kerry Blues, it goes without saying. My biggest joy in my life is to judge Kerry Blues. And I still do that from the time I did a breed show in Moscow, maybe 20, 15, 20 years ago, where I had 94 Kerry Blues. Great opportunity and really high quality. And I've judged them in America and all over the place. And that's always, you always look forward to judging your own breed
Okay.
because it's your
Yeah.
passion and it's where, and you
Yeah.
feel that you have something really to offer it. Other breeds I like judging Dobermans. I think their
Okay.
lines are so clean and so clear and obvious, and you can see the quality, and I can follow the breed step by step. Some other breeds that I not so much. I find them challenging. Not that I don't like to judge
No,
them,
no, of course, of course,
and
yeah.
and listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be say that I wouldn't do a reasonable job. I probably would, but some breeds, the only reason they're built that way is because the standard says so, like English bulldogs.
Okay.
There's no sense to them. There really isn't. And you can talk till you're blue in the face about bull baiting and all this and the balance, but really the only reason they have this kind of shaped head is because the standard says it. The only reason that the roll so the standard says it. The ear, the standard says it. The high up behind it because the standard says it. It's
Yeah.
not as if in order to gain that speed, this greyhound must have this type of shoulder and that type of arm. So there's no real. So breeds that there are that type of breeds that are kind of have no real sensible reason except that the standard says it.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
other ones that challenge me a bit are some of the French hounds because there's so many of them. There's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. That's true.
And in Ireland, anyone who wants to win something in Ireland, they usually get one of these kind of cross
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
only they will know anything really about it, and they feel
Yeah.
important and they patronize everybody about it.
Yeah.
And then
Well.
the other is some of the Central European herding dogs, because there seems to be about 12 of them, and they're all very similar. But
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
you go 20 yards down the road or 20 meters. And oh no, that's not no, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
oh no, that's theirs. And there's not
Yeah.
really that much between them.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find them challenging because you will always get somebody to say, "Oh, he thought he was judging this other type that they have down the
Yeah.
road."
Of course. Yeah. 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 Especially the breeds you don't see so often. So of course it's quite
I
challenging.
was
Of
talking
course.
about that. Some of the breeds that I don't have any, you get some great experiences in the ring. We were judging in San Juan in Puerto Rico some long time ago. Raphael will remember the date. And it was in a small hall with tiered seating, and all the public in the area came to see it. So it was a real public event. And some lovely dogs, as you'd expect, maybe a lot of nice Dobermans. But there was a young handler had a Filo, and he came in with his Fila. And I have never in my life seen such a performance as this guy came in. He came in walking slowly into the ring in his nice suit that he only wore for funerals and weddings.
Yeah.
So he's standing there, and this dog is a lovely dog now, and he just slowly puts each foot in place and the tail at the back, pulls it up, drops it down, and I'm standing waiting on him to finish this. So eventually, I approach him to examine, and he puts his hand up, stop. So he goes to the front, lifts the front lips to show me the front teeth, side, instructs me to go over this side, side, over that way, side, brings me around to the side, points to the side where I should go. I go around to the side, shows the top line of the back, lifts the skin up gradually all the way down. The thing looking at me, I'm fine. Points me towards the back, gets the tail out of the way, and gets the testicles in his two hands like they were the crown jewels,
Yeah.
with a smile on his face like that. And then he did the usual John Wayne walk, developing into an extended trot. Brilliant, but a pure cabaret performance, a special, one of those special things that you see in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
Of course.
experience, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me,
Sorry, that's
Sean.
nothing to do with what you asked me. I know.
No, it doesn't matter. The story was really good. I can understand it. Tell me, what in your opinion makes a good judge?
I think basic knowledge, experience and basic knowledge. Somebody, if they come from the right place, I think somebody that people should come from a breeding and exhibiting background. I really do think that anyone can learn standards. Don't get me wrong. I know people who can recite standards, blue and black. They're good in the face, but And sometimes people who are what you would call nearly professional judges who have a very limited experience of breeding and exhibiting can still turn out to be good judges. And I've seen some of them who actually are, and they just get it and they just understand it. But I like to think that people who have actually bred, who have been disappointed in breeding, who have been lucky in breeding, who have been successful and have been disappointed again, and who have shown as well, they understand, they get a real feel for the whole thing. And I think they make the better judges because they understand that this person could have got up at 4 in the morning to get to the show, and his wife is sleeping with the neighbor next door, and the frozen semen didn't work, and there's a lot of things going on here that
Yeah,
has happened
that's
to
true.
us all. And
That's true.
they relate more to them, and they're more patient with them rather than
Yeah,
what you'd call the professional judges who think
yeah,
they're kind of semi superstars and that they're lucky to have their opinion. So that's really, I don't know if that
yeah,
answers your question.
yeah, yeah. It does. It does. And then my last question about judging for you is how much you think it's important mentoring for the young judges.
I don't really, I don't like that. I really don't. Um, I think why would you go to all that thing? Because all dogs are about proportions. They really are. They're about proportions, and they're about the balance between. And it was John Walvin ran this seminar. It's all about balance, and they're right. It is all about balance, and different dogs have a different proportions and balance. But the whole thing is the whole picture. It's the balance, the whole balance. So if you're going to start measuring and say I only consider
No,
dogs
no, no.
under.
I was talking about mentoring,
Oh man! Oh, sorry. I
mentors.
thought you said
Yeah.
measure.
No, 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 not measuring.
I think I'd have to get a
Mentoring.
bear test.
Yeah, yeah. The problem will
I
be
think
if you don't pass it.
I think mentoring is a great idea. I really do. I think that's the way to go. And I think somebody coming in to ride shotgun, for want of a better word, with a judge to interact and talk, and I think that's the way to go because people, despite knowing, and listen, if a judge comes in as a trainee judge under you, they usually know the standard inside out, and they're very particular. But I think they pick up a lot of different stuff on the ground when they're with you, when as you're talking to them, and they can ask you things, and you can respond accordingly. And I found that really good. I think it's a great idea, and
Yeah,
I'd recommend it anywhere.
yeah. Okay.
The idea that some of the Scandinavian countries use is where the critique is written in a computer automatic and goes live as you go. I have to say I'm not a fan of that. I think that's you're doing the judging for judges outside the ring. They're on their laptops. They might be judging the breed next week, and they're seeing what you're saying about it. The guy who has the not so good dog, he's getting a bad grading, but at least you're not rubbishing him in public. And the idea that people can, I think it's going to turn people against people.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be embarrassed that people around the ring are reading what he's after saying about my dog. And if I don't like you, I go, oh, look what he said about Anta's dog.
Yeah.
I think it could be a negative thing.
Yeah, yeah, it goes both ways for sure. Okay, before we go to a few quick questions, there are a few questions and a few comments from the viewers. The first one is from Andrea Gash. She's saying, "Hi, Sean. Could you please give a short comment on the Irish Terrier standard that says the loin should be slightly arched?"
Yeah, it's the way that works is that the tail set is not quite as high as the Kerry or any of the others or the Wheatons. The tail set is a little lower. Now, because they usually have a very long tail, Irish, more than the others, as you probably noticed yourself. So with the result, when it goes down there, the top line is going down, right? And then it kind of rises a little bit and then goes down towards the tail. So that's where you get the reach on it, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay, then I'm going to read you a few comments before we continue. Our friend from Bulgaria, Antoaneta Penkova, is saying, "Hello, dear Sean. I miss your positive energy and your Irish humor." Francesco Cochetti says, "This happens because some of our colleagues have never breed." Gunnar Nimmer saying, "Look for type. So lovely to hear you say that. You are so right." And then Gunnar is also answering to Francesco saying, "Never understood how you can become a judge without having been breeding yourself. Nina Viscari is saying, I've always loved the Irish judges because of your attitude, and Sean, you are no exception. Then Mirjana was asking me something which I'm going definitely to ask you a little bit later, but we can go now to a few quick questions, which are usually quite difficult for my guests. I hope you are going to survive them somehow. My first question is, judging appointment that you consider the highlight of your career.
I suppose, well, the obvious one would be the Best in Show at the European Show in Dublin in Ireland, because it's my own kennel club and the European Show, and that was a great honour, and it was lovely to do that. It's strange. I had some great experiences in smaller shows. And don't get me wrong, I've judged Crufts and I've judged Eukanuba Challenge and world shows and European shows, and they're all in their own way. The Russia show, some of the in China and Japan and Australia, USA, they're all great shows. But some of the best experiences I had were at small shows. We judged one in near Lake Baku in the eastern part of Russia, and Ulan-Ude. And it was a small show run by three, as usual, like everything in Russia, it was run by three women, right? And they were all very lovely people and getting to a lot of parts. And they thought they were really interested in us and showed us some lovely touristic stuff in an area where Stalin had killed villages full of people. So it was very interesting. But the great part about this, the event was in a small hall, and during the interval, they had this group of Mongol children, beautiful, all between the ages of 6 and 10, I'd say, all dressed in kind of costume like seagulls or seals or oysters, with the feathers and all this. And they were beautiful. And they did this whole dancing pageant thing. This is before Best in Show in a tiny small hall. It was absolutely beautiful and so different. But,
yeah,
and there's always a funny part of this too. And they also had the local legend, who was a guy in his 50s with kind of long blacky grey hair in jeans, the usual type. He should have given up wearing jeans, but he still was wearing kind of cowboy boots and the check shirt. So he was the local. All the girls were swooning a little bit, and he was doing a song. It's the Legend of the Lake, right? And he had a backing tape, right? And he had. So he's ready to go. So he's starting off with these, this is all great. And the girls are all looking at him. And we're saying, oh, she's all right, I suppose. But the tape and the backing broke halfway through it. And he said, fine, I'm fine. I put the microphone up. He threw it against the wall and stormed out. I mean, you just don't get that. That's great. Is that better than... Some of the bigger shows.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but some great experiences, and listen, it's a great pleasure, and I love it. Love doing what we do, and we're lucky to get the invitation and the opportunity to travel. So I mean, I love all the shows. There isn't one that I wouldn't go again.
Yeah. No, this is a strange thing. Many of the let's say famous judges who have traveled all around the world, when I ask them these questions, they would answer the same as you, that they have judged all the big shows, but that some of the best experiences they had on the small shows. So I can understand that. Tell me, Sean, best terrier you ever judged?
Best
terrier you ever judged? Yes.
I suppose it has to be Scarf Michael, the Kerry Blue. I judged him. I gave him his final CC in Britain when he was showing there, and I also judged him in Hotspur at the Montgomery Circuit in America. So to me, it's my breed. He had everything. He had construction, attitude, coat color, performance, everything. Steady dog and filled everywhere. Proper big rib on him, strong across the line, strong foreface. But he was near enough to kind of everything I'd be looking for. Yeah, I thought he was an exceptional dog.
Yeah. Okay, I have a next question, and it was the same question for the Carries and the Smooth Fox Terriers, but I'm not going to ask you about the Carries because you have just answered my question. So I will ask favorite Smooth Fox Terrier for you of all times that was not bred, shown, or owned by you.
Right. Probably Tarbert the Brat.
Okay.
Tarbert the
Okay.
Brat.
Yeah.
An old dog. He's back from the day, but yeah, he was. There was a couple of others, but yeah, he would be. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
To be frank with you, that's a difficult one because uh, there were many at a
Yeah,
really
of
high
course.
level. So
Yeah.
there's so many of them. And maybe if I had more time and study, I'd think to myself, no, I should have said this, that, and the other. But the one
Yeah.
that comes to my mind is Tarbert the Brat.
Yeah, but then usually when it comes to your mind, immediately probably it's one that left the greatest impression on you. Tell me, what would you say was the best dog you ever bred?
Right. We had a bitch that we sent to Australia.
Is that Katie helping you a little bit?
We had a bitch that we sent, that David Roach in Australia. We sent over to David Roach through Malachi McKeown in UK, and he ended up in Australia. And her name was Mojo, and I think she was probably point for point the best one. She had once again all the things, but she was still a bitch. She was slightly lighter, not like she wasn't macho. She was kind of, but really well made. A rock solid top line, tail bang on, plenty behind the tail, a bit of attitude and style about her, and a nice kind of full coat, but not too heavy. And coloured too, which was nice when she was finished coloured.
And what would you say would be the favorite win with your own dogs?
Famous breeders.
No, favorite win with your own dogs.
Sorry, I missed this again.
Favorite win with your own dogs.
Sorry, yeah, okay. Yeah. I suppose we had a young dog that we went to show at the breed show, the Kerry Blue of England breed show, and he was very young at the time, and we went best in show at it under breed specialist Pat Monroe of the Arkama prefix, and it was Pat's first time to judge CCs, so that was really special for us. We were really and he went on to you were talking about Roberto Tiselli, the Tiselli family in Italy. He actually went on over to them, and they had him in their kennels, and he's back there in a lot of their bloodlines. So I think he was influential over there as well. So that was a great occasion because it was just Kathy and me with a station wagon car going over in the boat to the breed show, and all the real heavy people were there, the important handlers and the serious ones over there. So that was a great thrill for us to do that. And under somebody of that stature of the Arkama Pat, it was great. That was great.
Tell me, Sean, one breed you never had at home but you would like to have.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have liked a Rottweiler.
Okay, that's an interesting
I would.
answer.
Yeah, I'd like a Rottweiler. Yeah. I just like there's something independent about them. I always find that about them. They're independent. They go with you all right, but there's always a feeling that kind of they're just kind of, it's a relationship. And they can divorce at any time. Okay. I just feel, I like the strength of them, and once again that intensity. As you know, I'm into this intense expression, so I like they have that intense expression, provided they don't overexcite them.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Katie will ever allow you to have one, but it's nice that you have a wish at least.
You imagine your kennel full of Kerry Blues and Rottweilers.
Yeah, no, okay. Tell me, Sean, one dog person which is not alive anymore and you terribly miss.
Sorry, say again, Anton.
One dog person which is not alive anymore and you terribly miss.
One person alive. Well, from a breeding point of view, is it?
Whatever you like.
Okay. From a breeding point of view, I think Malachi McKeown. A breeder from England. He was an Irishman who emigrated when he was very young to England. and I think he achieved an awful lot because he was coming from a very low base over there, and it was very competitive. So, and he became a very important man and did a lot in that. As regards to judges, I suppose Hans Lecknen. I liked Hans Lecknen as a judge and as a person. I think he was very clear in his mind what he did. He kept it very simple, and he was always, would give advice if you asked it, and never the stature that he never had that impression of himself, and I don't think he felt himself, that important as other people made him out to be. So I
Yeah.
always liked him, and I thought he was a really good judge, very knowledgeable, and yet not too pushy or
Yeah.
I like.
Okay. Tell me, Sean, one breeder of any breed, which in your opinion keeps on bringing top quality dogs year after year, one from Ireland and one from the rest of the world.
Right. Pick Ireland for a start. There's a few here who just have done it so long. I suppose Harry O'Donoghue has done a lot of Wire Fox Terriers over the years in other groups. Wolfhounds, we've had some really good wolfhound breeders. John and Kathleen Kelly out in North County Dublin. John is dead now, but they had a great tradition of breeding some really nice dogs. And I'd probably have to say Diane Ritchie with the Red Setters from the north of Ireland. I think she's developed a type that is kind of has all what you would want in the breed. The coats are without exception perfect, and not over exaggerated in shape and size, and good chiseled heads and the proper expressions and a good tail set and movement. It is all the things. So if I was to say in Ireland which one, I'd Diana.
Yeah. Okay. And from the rest of the world,
on another level, which is a more difficult one, maybe probably Nick and Anne White with the Glenavermal Terriers, because that's not a very popular breed and a tough area to go and promote it. And they certainly have brought them up to an international level that you would never thought they would have achieved 30 years ago.
Yeah. And from the rest of the world,
there's so many good ones. I think of the modern ones, I suppose I would have a lot of time for Judith, Anderson Judith.
Yeah,
I think Judith is breeding some great Australian Shepherds, and I know they're a relatively new breed, but she's putting them out time after time, and the level is not dropping. If anything, it's getting better. So I would respect what she does, a lot of what she does. I think she breeds a lot of stuff. Yeah,
okay.
I would say probably her. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, Sean, one still active judge who always impressed you with his knowledge and approach to the dogs. One from Ireland and one from the rest of the world.
You're asking me to lose half my friends.
Yeah, well, I know.
If I had any. Okay, here
keep the ones that you have already. That's the best.
In Ireland, there's a few of them that I like for different reasons, and that's the thing, they're so different. I like Michael Forte. His whole approach is so easy and relaxed, and he's a great manner, and I think there's a sense of occasion when Michael is judging, and I think a lot of judges who they could learn a lot from seeing his approach and his style, just the way he develops things. So I like him as regards to that. Another would be a guy called Colm Hastings. I don't know if you ever met him, from Cork. Very different in style. Acts the maggot a bit. Appears to be a crazy the way he goes on, but reality is very detailed when he's judging in the ring, and does a really good job. So for different reasons and with different approaches, I'd like those too. Worldwide.
From the rest of the world?
Yeah. This is where I definitely lose all my friends.
Well, we can always say there is one, and then all the others are number two.
I have to say, and I know he's an old pal of yours too, and all, but Andrew Brace. I tease him like mad about it, and of course I do, because that's the way I am. But when he's not too full of his own importance and trying to put up the pup best of breed, which he does so regularly, I think he is very knowledgeable and is a good judge,
Yeah.
But he's a sucker for aversion.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure he will enjoy your comment. Okay. Tell me, Sean, one dog that you judged and that you will never forget of any breed.
Yeah, well, that feel that I mentioned is one that comes to my mind. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
there
one is
was
enough.
a smash poodle that I judged in Australia that I thought was exceptional. It was with
Yeah,
Simon Briggs at the time,
yeah,
and I thought it once again the poodles like just have to have ring presence and personality. If they don't, they're not a poodle. I mean, it's as
yeah,
simple as that. That
yeah.
breed, you have to see it. And this dog was exceptional. And Simon, he had that Freddy dog, the Siberian Husky, at the same show and the same time, and he had the both of them in, and the two of them were both at an incredibly high level.
Yeah.
And the way he could present the poodle on the table with the long lead draft, and he's standing maybe a meter and a half away from the thing, and the thing just standing there, just pure glamour, and then the twinkling movements and the pure ring presence and style. Just, I thought that was an exceptional dog, as was
Okay.
Freddie, who was reserve best in show at
Yeah.
that show.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last of my questions, tweet questions, which is going to how to say it. It's going to define your evening tonight at home. What do you like most about Kathy?
Um,
Be smart.
I give you the secret of a happy marriage:
Yes. Okay.
fear and obedience. No,
Okay.
I tell you, I met Kathy a long time and we're married forever. And I think it's her pure style. Her
Okay.
pure style, when I saw her first right across a crowded room, it sounds like something from a movie, doesn't it? But actually, a pure style. Her smile, she reminded me a little bit. She had a hat on at that time and reminded me of Gina Lalla Brigidana, an old time Italian actress. Um, and she carries that style today, right up now, and always has it. And I think style will last forever, even in a dog.
Yeah.
Style will last forever, I
Yeah.
think, you know,
Yeah.
and that's it. It's
Okay.
enduring.
I
And yeah,
think I
it's
think
style. And her, the fact that she kind of is more aggressive than me. She says it as it is. She's quicker to
yeah,
she doesn't
that's
have
good.
patience that I would have, or political,
Okay.
whatever that I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But she
Okay.
sometimes says an opposite to me, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think you will have a good evening after the interview. You will survive, I suppose.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't see her standing with the knife at my throat
No,
here.
yeah, yeah. Like, what are you going to say? Be careful. Anyhow, now we have a few more questions by the end of the interview, and we have been speaking already 1 hour and 40 minutes, but the time is passing very quick with you, Sean. I want to read just a few comments. Hildebert Berghausen is saying, "Thanks for a great conversation. Very enthusiastic judge. Very informative show." Gunnar Durhus Hector says, "You are such a pleasant person and judge." Gunnar Niemann is saying to you, "Sean, you are my hero. I'm begging Holger to let me have a Rottweiler, but he keeps saying no." Anyhow, let let me ask you now a few more questions about other aspects of the dog world. My first question will be about the European Dog Show in Dublin in 2009. When you look back at it, how do you feel about it?
When I what? When I
When you
judged it?
look, no, no, when you look back at the whole
Oh yeah,
thing of the
okay,
European Dog Show, how
yeah.
do you feel about it?
Well, first of all, I was very privileged that we got it, and I was I'm on record as thanking the members and the FCI and the European section for giving us that opportunity, because it was a great opportunity for us. Originally, the dog shows held by the Kennel Club when they started in the 1920s were in the RDS. So it was nearly an old ancestral home for us to go back to the Royal Dublin Society grounds for the European show, where we had it there. We were blessed with the weather. In one respect, we were blessed with the weather because, if you remember, it was beautiful weather for the whole period of the time.
Absolutely,
Fantastic
yes.
weather we never get in Ireland, but it was
Yeah,
fabulous. So it made for a good show because we had outdoor rings and so on, and that was good. On the negative side of that, everybody went to the seaside. Nobody came to the dog show.
yeah,
So we had no real gate. The general public who would normally have come to it, because of the fantastic weather, they kind of brought their children to the beach or
yeah,
at the weekend rather than come to the show. So I have great memories of it. It was amazing for us to invite people and from all over Europe and some from America as well over to Ireland and to entertain them and have them at our dog show. It's a thing we never experienced before. Being an island, like we really didn't have a concept of many foreign exhibitors, very few. So it was a great pleasure to have that. And we had, which was amazing, 3 coach loads from Moscow
yeah,
of the usual young girl handlers with every
yeah,
macho dog under the sun.
yeah,
Helena, who does the dog Voyager.
yeah, yeah,
You can imagine the difficulty they had getting right across Europe and their coaches into UK where they're treated like the enemy. You can
yeah,
imagine
yeah, yeah,
UK
yeah. I can
customs,
imagine.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they got here with those dogs and all
yeah,
kinds of crazy dogs who
yeah,
were banned in England. The only trouble is the British authorities didn't know what they were, the
yeah,
dogs.
yeah.
And you can imagine 20 maybe hysterical Russian ladies in your face, blah, 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 blah. And oh, go, just make sure you go
Just
straight
go,
back.
just go.
Yeah, just go to Ireland and then
Yeah,
go out away, go away.
yeah,
That's so they got in, which was great,
yeah,
considering some of the terrier people from Spain couldn't get over the Amstaff people in particular. We tried to facilitate them. We even booked out some cabins on boats so that they could come. You know what I mean? They could put their dogs in the cabin because there was no facility down deck.
yeah,
But they, whatever reason, they couldn't make it.
yeah.
But I tell you a funny story about this, and during the working day, the working breeds were being judged. Excuse me, Helena, the girl who runs the Dog Voyager coach from Moscow. I know her, from judging away, and she came over to me as though Sean was a big problem. This lady, an older woman who was on the coach with them, had a, cent, a Central Asian Shepherd, right? And she said she has, and she's after falling and breaking her ankle, which she did.
Okay.
And now we had organised and we got her sent off to an ambulance to hospital. And she says, but there's nobody to show her dog. And so, can you not get one of the girls, the other girls to handle it for her? Oh, no, he won't let anybody, he won't let anyone near him. And he's the only one entered. And I'm saying, well, what can we do?
Yeah.
Could you not do? She's come all this way and spent. She's telling me €1,000, and she do this, and she's in hospital now and going back. So I said, okay, wait till I have a look. Leave it with me. So I checked who the judge was, and it was an Irish judge, a friend of mine, somebody I knew. So I was talking to him, and I said, there's a problem here. So what's going to be important to you? You know this is a breed that they're very protective, so you won't be touching or examining them. So what do you want to see? You want to see his bite, yeah, yeah. You want to see him moving, yeah, yeah, and then his balls. So Vincent's the name of the guy. Said, yeah, if I see that, I'd be, and he was good enough, I'd be happy enough. So I said, come on. So she had him in this screwed into the screw into the ground poles with a big chain on him. He's outside in the field outside. So we went out to him and I said, okay, you just stand behind me and we watch this. So he's standing, the dog is sitting like a sphinx, looking at everybody as if he hates the world.
Yeah.
So I just slowly started walking towards him. So he stands up, the dog, and just bares his teeth right at me.
Yeah.
And I say to Vincent, do you see his teeth there, his mouth there? And Vincent says, yeah, that's okay. I'll say, no, I'm going to start. So I start walking around him like in a circle. And the dog is going around. How's his movement? Oh, it's okay. And then, can you see his balls? He said, hold on. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Okay. Will you give him a certificate? Yes.
Okay. So the woman was happy. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's sometimes we need really time to try.
About dog shows and people trying to understand and help and deal with a situation that looks kind of impossible. There's always a way. I think we have to always remember that there's always a way.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. Tell me, Sean, I know that you were asking from the FCI to organize the World Dog Show, I think in 2021 or 2022. Are you going to ask again for it?
The reason we asked for it, listen, I'm not totally naive, and politics are involved in everywhere, and we know people do deals, and I'd support you, and that's life, and I'm not going to be downbeat or criticism of that, because that's the way things are. So I'm realistic that way. We just thought, and we played the card that we're 100 years old. And we knew that Brazil was 100 years old also. So we talked to them, and with respect for each other, and I respected that they were 100 years, and it's their 100 years is equally as important to ours. And I was naive in a way that I thought that message would get across to the FCI General Assembly, and that was the message we were trying to say. Listen, kennel clubs are only 100 years old once, so, and we will support them in 22, and they would support us in 21, and that was kind of, and we made that public. There was no secret deal done or discreet handshakes. That was made clear in the hope that we could make that pitch to the General Assembly, and they would say, okay, yeah, they're 100 years, let them away with it. There'll be other years. So it didn't work out that way, and unfortunately, we lost out. So no, we no, because
Okay.
I'm not politically stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gone. It's gone anyway for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens also.
But listen, we are in 22. We're 100 years old. Our kennel club is in 2022, so we will be putting on something significant and important, an international event, and maybe conferences for the Irish breeds or things like that. But we'll definitely put on a serious program for 22, and we might be coming back to the FCI looking for something special. Yeah. We have to think whatever something special is. Yes, the inventive. So,
well,
if you have any ideas, let me know.
Well, yeah,
I think if we can't get a world show, which we can't, obviously, and I wish the Czech Republic well with theirs in 21 and Brazil theirs in 22. But listen, we want something from the FCI. Yeah, for our 100 years.
I hope that's going to happen. And if I get any idea, I will tell you. Anyhow, before we continue, let me read a few comments, because otherwise I lose them all. Brina Tomer is asking you, I'm interested in knowing why the coat of the soft-coated Wheaten Terriers is so different in the Americas than what I've seen in Europe.
Well, if you understand what I was saying earlier on about the type of heavier coat and the poodle type coat and the Kerry Blue, I think the same principle applies here. It's very commercialized in US, and in general, the approach to breeds by the handlers over there is they want to win groups. There's bonus for groups. You get your picture in the magazines, and it becomes it's a rolling on, and it moves on, and it lifts the level of the dog up. So they want to, as I said before, movement and outline.
Yeah.
And if you have a natural coat on a Wheaten Terrier, it will hang loosely and will fall around the back and around the neck, and you will just see a neck and a back. Whereas if you kind of a heavier, fuller coat like they have in some of the English dogs and the American dog, it means you can once again sculpture a line down on the back and reshape the dog over. And that's really why. It's not the only breed. I'm not boo-hooing just about the Wheaten Terrier, because believe you me, that's the way the Americans look at a breed. They look at a breed and they'll say, can we make this a group winner? And if they can't, they adjust their breeding accordingly to make sure it will win a group. And
I know.
That's a bit generalized. It's not far off.
Yeah. I'm going to read you a few more comments, and then I continue with a few more questions that are left. Mia Sandgren is saying, lovely description on Kathy. Send my love to the whole family. Miss you all. Great talk tonight. Aline Dumitrescu is saying, one amazing interview. Big congrats, Ante and Sean. Francesco is saying, Kathy is the boss. Jackie McKenzie is saying, great interview. Brings back fond memories of the time spent with yourself and Kathy last December in Perth. Karen Lynn saying, it's really nice to listen to you talking dogs. Željka Halper saying, great talk. So anyhow, still a lot of people are watching, and I hope it's going to continue like that till the end. I have a few more questions for you, Sean. I'm going to read one short comment that you made, which has been published all around internet at some point when we were all into this great discussion about the World Dog Show in China. You said, how can we change the attitudes of some sections of society in China? Is it by being aloof and ascending to the moral high ground in order to preach down, or is it by education and interacting with like-minded people in China who with international help and support may be able to lobby the authorities in China to effect real changes? I think the later. Do you still think the same about that?
Absolutely. I firmly believe that. I think people seem to forget when we were coming out of the caves, banging stones together, trying to light fires. There was empires in China and dynasties over there, so they were a very advanced culture. Okay, the thing is full circle now, and we like to think that we're the kind of educated thing. The only You can only change from within. I think it's so easy now and then, the moral outrage, to put a boo-hoo up on Facebook and down with that sort of thing. But how are you do you think that's going to change? First of all, Facebook's not allowed in China, so your boo-hoo and your criticism and your is not going anywhere. You're just
Yeah,
talking to each other. You
yeah,
feel like you're getting your moral outrage out of the way by saying it to like-minded people who can't make effect change anyway. So the only way is to try and, first of all, educate the authorities over there in as far as you can. Try and get your point across and convince them and make realistic change. And don't patronize them, because there's nothing they like worse than somebody trying to come on and say, like Trump, oh, it's the Chinese, it's the fault, or the Koreans, whatever. You must involve. And we have people on the ground there. We had the CKU who are doing some work there and trying to make it happen in a small way. But every great journey starts with the first step. And they were trying hard, and they deserve support, not criticism, not patronizing, not downgrading. They want should have a report. And we know at this stage that the minister now has taken dogs off the food list. They were originally known as stock animals, and they're not anymore. That's a great start.
yeah,
They stopped the Yulin festival. I know there's bits of it still going on, but it takes time to get rid of policies like
yeah,
that.
of course.
And I think anyone who's been there with the people and the dog people over there realizes that they have a passion for dogs, and they're equally as horrified and equally as committed as we are, and are doing their best to affect change. And if we think by ignoring these people and treating them like nothing, or not getting involved with them, is going to change anything, I don't think so. All it does is isolate them and make them less able to do the job that they can do for humanity and for canines worldwide. So I
Yeah.
think we should really give them as much support as we can. And I took some
Okay.
hits myself over that attitude,
Yeah, I know, I know. This is why I
locally,
asked you. Yeah,
and I accept that. But I still think it's a reason, and I think that we are affecting change over there. But I can tell you this much: the effect of change was not because people were horrified on Facebook. I can tell you that's not why
of
change
course.
happened. The
That's for
change
sure.
has happened because it was proper lobbying was done. The FCI did a lobbying for it. I contacted the Chinese ambassador here to explain our position to it. So, and if other kennel clubs had done the same and done it in a structured and positive and helpful message and all that, it would have been affected quicker. But I think once it started, I think it's rolling now, and I think going to be it's going to be clear in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
Listen,
Okay.
we all have cultural things that we don't like.
Of
We
course,
all have,
everywhere.
look, fox hunting
Yeah,
in UK,
yeah, yeah,
bullfighting, clubbing seals in Norway. There's all practices that maybe you wouldn't be happy enough about. But these
yeah,
times sometimes take change.
yeah,
Support the people who can make change within the country. That's
yeah,
what you can do.
yeah. I agree completely with you. Okay. Another subject, Sean, which I want to talk with you about. You personally and your kennel club, you have done an amazing job with the Irish native breeds. First of all, I want to ask you, how popular are these breeds in Ireland? And then, if you can tell me a little bit about the process which you have done, because we know that 9 Irish breeds have been granted national heritage status by the minister in 2019. That has been a huge success. for yourself and also for the Kennel Club. Tell me a little bit about it. This is something which I think interests a lot of people, especially nowadays when we are talking about all these laws and things that are going about banning different breeds. And so, how much did that help to Ireland and its breeds?
Yeah, we listen. Some of the breeds in Ireland, there's not that many people involved in them of the Irish breeds. Like Glenavermal is a prime example, as I said to, and really only for the Nicky and Ann White. That breed could have easily fizzled out and just be maybe some working terrier people, in farmlands around, and that would be it. And it could have laid that. Also, some of the other breeds, water spaniels, is kind of very limited amount of people there. And okay, Wheatons were relatively strong. There's enough people in them. Wolfhounds were okay. The gun dogs, mainly because of the working aspect and field trials, are quite strong. And the red and whites, because of a crossbreeding program that we did, we kind of brought them. They're in a good place as well. So the trouble with that is it was left to either the Kennel Club or more importantly to individuals, one or two individuals. And some of these breeds, you're talking about one individual or one family or two or three. And we felt that for something that's significant and distinctly Irish, that's not a good place, because if they go out of it or if they stop, the breed could be lost. And it could be go extinct like any of the animals or things that we have in the wild. So we should have a kind of a responsibility towards that. That was the feeling of it. Now, some of us have a passion for the general concept of Irish breeds, and my family and Kathy and me certainly would have. We were part of the Irish Breed Society, which is a society which is an umbrella group for the breeds of Irish origin, and we have our own championship show once a year, which is a very popular one, and that's the way it is. We did feel that there should be some commitment from the government to see that none of these breeds go out of existence and that they're looked after. And if they have problems, that they should have somewhere by the governmental that they can go to for help or advice or assistance. So that it came from that concept. The trouble is very hard to convince government and civil servants of the worthwhile of that. And as regards to heritage, they found it very difficult to categorize it. And like they can see, okay, the dramatic cliffs, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel, all of these things, they're kind of, they're distinct things, or the pyramids. But a dog, breeding of a dog, like they just couldn't get that. They didn't know where to categorize it. So luckily enough, they have what they call it intangible heritage status, which is a slightly different thing. In other words, intangible by its nature means something you can't really define or put your finger on, but it is cultural heritage. So a couple of things like a musical instrument could be that, which was the uilleann pipes, as an Irish, distinctly Irish thing. That was one thing. And the Celtic game of hurling with a stick, that's a distinctly Irish, but you couldn't define it, but it is intangible cultural heritage. So we felt that we could come in on that banner. So with that in mind, for about now, almost 10 years, the Irish Breed Society and Kathy and me and a couple of other individuals made an effort to start putting a thing together, a program together. So we started with running an event in one small town in the middle of Ireland called the Ireland's Heartland Heritage Festival. We did a parade down the main stream with characters in costume with the dogs, and we tied people in Irish history and Irish mythology, some of them true and factual, others a little bit inventive, right?
Okay.
But listen, why let the truth get in the way of a good story?
Exactly.
So we put them out with the thing and we promoted them as such. These are part of our heritage, integral part of our heritage. Whether it is the High Chiefs of Ireland with the Wolfhounds, Michael Collins, the Patriot during the 1920s with the Kerry Blue, Grania Whale, the Pirate Queen with the Water Spaniels, the Flight of the Earls into Italy and thing with the Setters, the Reds and White. So we got a kind of a background behind them, a story and a promotion bid behind each of those. And we came in with that concept and we said this is a definite part of our heritage, and it should not be left to individuals or to one club to kind of keep that together.
So what we want is the government to give it that status, and that means not really that much. They're not going to throw money at us or anything like that. But if it was a case one of them or any of them or all of them got into trouble at any stage, they were going out of existence, or there was a disease in them or something like that, that you could in reality come to government departments and officials and say, do you know what? We've got trouble here. We want help with you, and they would be duty bound to help you because they have to support the heritage and the culture and the thing. So that really was the concept behind it, and I have to say it worked. It worked really well because they understood that once you tied it to personalities or events in history, and you gave the longevity of it, they kind of got bought into the thing. We also were on television, morning AM, the Late Late Show. We kind of used all the contacts we had because dogs they're an emotional product, all dogs. And if you tie that into a patriotism, an emotional product like dogs, into the patriotism of a country, you're onto a winner with the general public. And we just kind of kept going, and every time they put us back, we just came back again, and I think we just embarrassed them into it. To be frank with you,
Yeah.
we did that. And the one thing we did, which kind of caught them unawares, the Connemara pony had been granted heritage status. So that was a kind of a way in an animal. We found an animal. So when we did that thing in the middle of Ireland, we had the hawks uh, flying on horseback with the Connemara pony using the Irish red and the red and white setter. And that was the three elements put together. And we gave an exhibition of that, which went down really well over here. But I think other countries should have a go at that. I think if you have a national pride in your national breeds, you should try and get the government to come on board with you. And I think the main thrust, from my experience, is to tie it in with the culture. Try and tie it in with personalities in your history or events in your history. Make sure it's an integral part of what your people and your people's lives, and then come at it from that angle. They seem to buy into that, and then try and get some PR from your television and that.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely a great story, and I know a lot of kennel club just started to think about it once you have done it. And I want to ask you just one more question connected to that. If it would happen a situation, for example, like it happened now in the Netherlands, where they said, okay, we don't want to give pedigrees anymore to French bulldogs, English bulldogs, or something like that. If that would happen for one of the Irish breeds in another country, would the government help you with that?
If it happened in some other country rather than
Yeah,
Ireland, would our
yeah,
government help? Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. We have a heritage status now, so there's no way uh, a foreign government can take away our heritage.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
okay,
Okay.
if they're talking about a registration and that's a business thing or an ethical thing, a registration for a dog, I'm sure, or a stud book or so on, every kennel club in every country, I'm thinking, probably has authority over that itself. But I see with this business about the Brachycephalic breeds and all of that, and I know it's been flogged to death, but I think we have to get together and come up with a united front and a united message. Our trouble is, and it's like a lot of things in the dog game, we only talk to each other. We don't talk to society or the public.
Yes. Yeah.
We're so
Yeah.
busy eating videos, and we have presentations, and I give some myself and we attend them, but we're only talking to each other. We're not getting our message out to the public, and we want to get in touch with veterinary associations and like-minded and laboratories and put a clear message together, and then be inventive in how we deliver it. Don't just deliver it in the usual thing. I know a politician and I'll speak to him. Make sure it's out there in the public. Do a bit of PR on it. Work with the Americans. That's one thing they're really great at is PR.
Yeah.
They're really good at that, and they do some great DVDs and videos on promotion of pedigree dogs. They really do. So we want to tap into that and not be just talking to each other. Tut tut tut. Isn't it terrible? You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really good what you said, and I mean the work that you have done has been amazing. And what you just mentioned is this something that every guest that I ask about says the same thing as you said. We talk just between each other. We don't talk to the general public. We don't sell our story like you managed in a way to sell the story about the Irish breeds to your government. And I mean, I found one comment that you made for one of the interviews that you gave, which I think explains very well the situations. and you said we just undersell everything we do. We don't spend enough time telling people that what you get with pedigree dogs is predictable qualities, predictable characteristics. Don't get that in crossbreeds. Can be great dogs. They might have one or two of the qualities, but it's a lucky get, like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. I think that.
I'm surprised you picked up on that.
Yeah, well, I like to investigate before I do my
I tell you,
interviews.
it's gratifying to hear that somebody is actually listening. To be honest with you.
Yeah, well, you see, I'm well prepared. Anyhow, I think in these few sentences you said a lot about it. Actually, it is really that we don't communicate enough with the general public, with the people, with the normal people, not just between ourselves. How do you think we can change that? What we need to do?
I think it's like everything. We have to get together and have, first of all, a clear message. I mean, there's no point in starting talking and saying we must go in there. You have to get a clear message. So that's what we have to do. Agree on the message and then agree on how we're going to deliver it. But
Yeah.
and we have to be inventive. There's no point in using the standard stuff. Younger people work at different levels nowadays. The communication has changed, and you must understand what they are and get the people that you think will promote your image. There's no point in me or older kind of administrators coming on and making speeches and doing seminars and webinars. You want to get people that they can relate to, and you get the younger people. It's easier that way. Older people are more settled, so we have to try and, if we could, try and pick stars that are interested in what we do in dog game, or get them on board, talk to them about it, ask them to promote, because that's where a lot of the crossbreeds are coming from. And a lot of the exaggerated breeds are because film stars are getting them and making them cool, and pop stars are. So the way we did, first of all, get a clear message, agree on that, what we have to get, spend some money promoting the message, target where you think might be most influential, and sell it to the public and involve the public in it. I mean, even at dog shows, we're not public friendly. We do it just, it's a sport. I think Michael McCarthy, one of my friends here from Cork, said it's the only game he knows in the world that as soon as the whistle is blown, everyone is on a different side.
Yeah.
And it's true when you're exhibiting.
It's true. Yeah.
We don't get that. We don't invite the public. Go away from me. I'm getting my dog ready. Don't touch him. I've just prepared him.
Yeah.
We're not a welcoming community.
Yeah.
We're so busy engrossed with each other.
Yeah. We need to change. This is the thing. I think that's the that's the start of everything, that we need to change. Anyhow, I have only two more questions left, and before that, I'm going to say that Eva Lunden said thank you for some great stories and good advice. Andrew Brace says the heritage exercise was a tremendous achievement that should be emulated by others. And Francesco says, agree. He says, I ask you some clever questions. Thank you, Francesco. I have really tried to do my best. Okay, one question for you, Sean. What would you suggest to the young people who want to become a part of the sport? Doesn't matter as breeders or professional handlers, judges, whatever. What would be your suggestion for them how to start in this sport?
I think breed research. First of all, we assume they're going to have an interest in dogs for a start. That has to be a given. So we accept that it's people who likes dogs and they're wondering about our sport. I think pick a breed, go to it, take your time, go to some dog shows, have a look around, talk to people, see if there's a breed, because I think every one of us, when we started, there is a breed that caught our heart and hooked us. And once you were hooked in, once you have that, you're in. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's no going back.
So
I think true. The first thing is go have a look at it, talk to people, learn about the characteristics, see a breed that you're drawn to, learn a little bit more about it, and ultimately get one yourself and start in at that level. And then take your time, see if it's for you. Don't be in a rush. Interact with people, and listen. You might be one of the one of the 20% that just walk away after 3 years, or you might stay, who knows? But ultimately, people have to find their own reason for staying.
Yeah,
And
of course.
there is a big menu there for people who are involved in our sport for all
Yeah,
different reasons. But listen, I can tell you that I have met so many interesting people in Ireland and worldwide, and people who have a love and a passion for dogs. And you've learned so much about from dogs too, and the talents that they have, and it's an amazing journey. I would, if I was to sit and talk to somebody, I know I could convince them to get in.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think the rest of us should give a little time to that. If you
Yeah,
see
I
somebody
agree.
hanging around your ring who's not you don't know, and they seem to be looking at the dogs and all that, try and engage with them and talk with them, because ultimately we have to give it to them. It's their future.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me, Sean. This will be my last question for you tonight. I have really make you work hard for me, but I'm very happy that so many people were watching from the beginning till the end, and a lot of people were commenting and asking questions and complimenting you on your knowledge and your amazing sense of humor. And my last question for you would be, how do you see the future of the sport? What do you think will be happening in the next years?
That's very it's very difficult to see, and I think it's developing at different rates and different levels, in certainly in different continents, and also in different countries. And I think the it's a big challenge for the FCI how to involve all the different sections and the different cultures. I think that's a big challenge. I think a little bit more regional, because the problems are going to be more regional. Like South America is going to have different problems from Asia, Africa, and so on, and even some parts of Europe. The cultures are different. So I think a little bit more regional power and development should be allowed, rather than one size fits all, which we're kind of trying to roll out at the moment. Maybe a little bit relaxing of certain restrictions and some, depending on the situation in the area. As regards to the promoting it for as a sport for young people, I would say be more welcoming. Have an idea. I think your show is a great example, even though it really is exhibitor orientated, and they're you already
Yeah,
have them. But
yeah,
it's very good in that you react to the exhibitor, who is ultimately the customer. But I think on top of that, then we have an audience out there that we're not tapping into. So I think we must do a bit of PR image. We must present our shows that they're more attractive to the general public, whatever it takes to get them into the show. Because once you have them in there, then you can get your message across about your various breeds, and a discover dogs type of thing, fly ball, maybe dressed up obedience, even man work. Like if you do it in the right way, something that will attract the people in. And when you have them in, then you can show them the other aspects of it, and they might get interested. So I mean, make it part of them. Make it the circus comes to town. It should be.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It should be
I mean,
really.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. And okay, tell me in general, just when we look at the future, are you optimistic or pessimistic,
I'm.
or maybe
I'd be
realistic?
fair. I'd be fairly optimistic. The trouble is the younger people now. They want everything now, and they don't want to do any training. And I know it's a boring old fart talking like this, but they don't really want to do any apprenticeship. I'm sure you find that there's nobody wants to come into your kennels to shovel shit for a couple of years before they get to handle a dog. I mean, that's not going to happen anymore. People, they have a much bigger expectation, and they want it immediately, and they want it now. So we're going to have to address that, where that fits in, and how we can kind of gradually work them into our system or get them involved in ours, because everything is instant, and they've an entitlement, a feeling of entitlement, that how do I become a judge? They have their first dog and they're wondering how they can become a judge.
Yeah,
You really, and I'm sure you get that in yours
yeah.
as well.
Of course.
And
Yeah,
I'd love to be. I think I'd be good at that.
yeah,
I've looked at that. I think I'd be good at that.
yeah,
And they think
yeah,
all you do is wear a dicky bow and a nice suit, and away with you, like, and just kind of look important for the
yeah,
photographs. But
yeah,
I don't know, and I don't have the answer. I think we must once again enthuse people, have a reason for them to come, and if they come, hopefully we can keep them. But I think its main thing is to make it a social occasion, to socialize the shows, do as much as you can, discover dogs things. Like we sometimes do that in the Best in Show ring. We'll do the Irish breeds and give the story behind them. And in other words, you could do that with other groups as well, even a selection from each groups, something that would enthuse and inform the older people and get your message across at the same time.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'm not confident that that there's it's going to develop.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what will happen. But as you said, the future is in the hands of each one of us, and each one of us can make a difference. And it is actually the way that at some point we became a little bit of a kind of a closed society. We need to open up. We need to sell our ideas to the general public if we want to survive. And obviously, we want to survive. Anyhow, Sean, we have been talking for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I have really enjoyed it. I hope you have enjoyed it too. I'm very happy that we had a lot of viewers and a lot of comments and a lot of questions. And before we finish, I'm going to read you just a few more comments. And it was Minja Pretnar saying, great interview. Thank you. Francesco saying, very true. We have to attract exhibitors who are the customers and judges. Peter Akat saying, oh, yes, that's what we need. I don't know. I think my earphone is getting out of the battery, so I don't know what will happen. If you still all hear me or not.
I can hear you better than I've heard you all night now.
Yeah, okay. Vanya is saying, such a pleasure to hear you talk about dogs, especially the storytelling, so informative for past, present, reality and future. Love the sense of humor and passion. Thank you so very much. Soleil Ragna saying, thank you, Ante and Sean, for a fantastic interview. Sean's passion is captivating, which with his knowledge and humor made for such a fun, informative interview. I always look forward to talking dogs with Ante on Wednesday evening. So a lot of people were watching and a lot of people have enjoyed it. Before we finish this interview, first of all, I would like to ask you to give my love to Kathy, and I really hope we are going to see each other soon somewhere when all these crazy things let us live the normal lives again. And I want to ask you just the last thing, which I read that you have been a part of this big investigation or research about Jesus being Irish or Italian. How is going on with proving that?
Well, I think just for those maybe who didn't see it, we were talking about we in Ireland have a theory that Jesus had to be either Irish or Italian because he didn't leave home till he was over 30. He used to hang around with his mates. He brought his own wine when they were on the beer, and he thought his mother was a virgin.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, I saw that comment this morning, and it made me really laugh. So I wish you a lot of luck with confirming this new research. Sean, it was a great pleasure to have you, and it has been incredibly interesting and informative, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you so much. Give my love to Kathy and to your family, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you also to all the viewers who were making comments and asking. I hope to see you all next Wednesday. Do you have something to say, Sean, for everybody who was watching?
Do you know what I'll do just for a little bit of fun to finish it off? I mentioned earlier on in my start of my judging career was in this small hall full of people and all crazy terrier men and old fat women. But the working class men in Dublin all had very small houses or apartments, and it was a big thing to have a dog there and to go and show at these shows. So I wrote a little poem here, and I'm going to say it for you now about the experience of this guy. So the week has been long and everything's gone wrong, and the days seem to drag and go slow. It's then you start scheming and your mind starts dreaming about the dog show, the weekend, and the show. So you get home at night and the dogs have had a fight, and your wife says, them dogs have to go. To her you must grovel, then out with your shovel. But remember, the weekend, the show. So you're down in the shed, all the others are in bed, with the young bitch that makes your heart glow. This one's a flyer, an honest to God trier. You'll clean up the weekend at the show. So you get there on time, everything is going fine. Set your gear up in a place that you know. With a young bitch, a true blue, and making her debut all the way, you just never know. So you get yourself ready and you get the big steady, and into the ring you both go. You them all to enhance her, and then some chancer gives you 3rd out of 3 at the show. Where the hell did they get them? I wonder who vets them. You've forgotten more than he'll ever know. The invoice you weren't heeding, he'll put up his own breeding. That's the last time that you'll ever show. So it's off to the bar, and you have an old jar, and at judges you have a good go. But the more pints that you've had makes you feel not all that bad. You'll show them next week at the show.
Yeah, wonderful. So you are
Okay.
a man of many talents, Sean. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ant. I enjoyed it.
It's been a great
and
pleasure.
Thank you for all the nice comments. Good night and stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Disparo de calor, la atracción que se genera en un instante. Juegas fácil y no soy tu ganador. Reconozco que me siento un perdedor, que mi cuerpo ya no puede controlarse. Yo vivía en una especie de ficción y la cruda realidad en otra parte. Hubiera jurado que no caería en tus manos. Sé que no debí